What is going on, everybody? Q here from Hyperstocks. Thank you so much for coming on. Today we're going to go over the S&P 500 or SPY, which is the ETF that pretty much gives you an overview of the entire market. We do this every week. So this week we're going to go over what happened last week and we're going to project what's happening in the next week and what we can expect from the markets. First things first, we want to address that last week the market rallied for 9 straight days, which includes the week before it. So we're seeing stocks like Apple, Nvidia, your Teslas, they're all moving up in the right direction. The S&P 500 finally moved back to its 100-day moving average, which was the moving average we broke back on January 19th and started selling off into the correction that we experienced. So now that we're moving back to that level, we need to maintain this gray line, which is once again the 100-day moving average, this gray line for us to continue pushing further and to test the significant resistance at the 458 mark. Once we test that 458 mark, we'll need to break above it to continue moving to test all-time highs. But just keep in mind that since we've rallied for 9 straight days, we may see some consolidation coming in the next few days and in the next few weeks before actually pushing much higher. During this consolidation, we're starting to see and expecting a lot of the names in which we haven't heard from in a while begin to move back up. Those are names in the electric vehicle sector. We've obviously been seeing gas moving up in energy, but we're also going to be expecting to see names in semiconductors moving, cannabis moving. So all these names that have been kind of quiet for a while and now haven't seen those really big rallies are starting to move back up. So looking at the S&P 500, we can see that we have broken out of that channel down pattern. So during this consolidation, we can actually safely move back to that 440 level to continue moving down. So notice how when we came, this is on our third day of rally, we closed just before that 440 mark, which was a significant resistance for us. We managed to break back above it. So if we were to come back down to 440 and test 440, we would still be in a condition in which allows us to move back up. Once we break below 440, and if we break below 440, then we can start getting worried about us potentially falling any further. However, the geopolitical tensions are starting to alleviate the investors on the investing side. Maybe they are getting more and more tense in the political spectrum. However, when it comes to the investing side, the profits of many of our American companies are still very dominant. We're still seeing billions and billions of dollars in revenue from many of our popular names. So investors are gaining that confidence back and they're buying the dip opportunity that we saw in the recent weeks. So looking ahead, some of the names that we're looking at and some of the sectors we're looking at are going to be names like Tilray. So Tilray is actually moving up. It moved up about 40% in the last couple weeks. And that's due to the fact that we're expecting the House to be voting on legalizing marijuana on a federal level this week. So obviously that news forced names like Tilray to move higher. Obviously, Tilray is a stock that is also heavily shorted. So when it's a heavily shorted stock, when there's a lot of buyers, it'll move up nearly vertically. So we're expecting Tilray to move up to higher price targets around that $10 mark. The next sector we're going to be looking at are names in the electric vehicle sector. So names like Tesla. So Tesla is also expected to move higher. Obviously, with gas prices soaring right now due to the geopolitical tensions and oil also soaring, people are starting to move away from the classic gasoline and oil powered cars and are starting to move into the electric vehicle cars. Tesla is at the forefront. It's one of the most dominant companies, if not the most dominant companies in the electric vehicle sector and industry. So they are expected to push higher in the coming weeks. Our price target's going to be around 1070 to 1100 in the next couple weeks or so. You can see that buying is significantly picking up. Its MACD is moving into a very strong buying momentum. So going into the next week and two, we want Tesla to stay above this gray line. So this is the 100-day moving average. As long as it maintains that level, it's in the safest possible zone that places it in which it can potentially push higher towards that 1100 plus mark. The next sector we're going to be focused on this week is going to be the oil sector. So obviously the geopolitical tensions with Russia being such a large exporter of oil, we are seeing demand across the world continue to pick up while supply is still going through a shock. So with that being said, we're focused on names like RRC, which is a a drilling company, and they are expected to push higher in the coming weeks as long as oil continues to bounce. This has a price target of between 34 and 36. For this one, we'd like to see them stay above 28, but they do have room to 24 to move down and consolidate if they needed to. And finally, we're looking at names in the semiconductor sector and industry, and these are names like, I'll show you here, AMD, for example, is going to be another name we're going to be watching. So AMD, with semiconductors kind of dominating the technological advancements that we're going through, we're expecting to see names like AMD, names like Nvidia, names like Micron Technologies. Those are all names in which are going to be leaders in the advancements of our technology, because they provide pretty much hardware that is going to power all of our technological advancements and systems. So in the coming years, names like AMD are going to only grow. They're already doubling and tripling their revenue every year. So they're only going to be showing more and more growth, and we're expecting to see them become of a size of a behemoth eventually, just because they control so much of the microchip semiconductor market. So AMD, we're expecting to move towards the 125, 127, and 130 plus mark. We'd like to see them stay above the 50-day moving average, which is the yellow line that we have on our chart right here. So overall, markets are looking good for the week ahead. We can expect a positive week as long as we don't face a hard rejection on the S&P 500 at that 100-day moving average. As long as we can move above that point, then we can safely call ourselves back in the most healthy bullish territory that can take us higher and eventually lead us to all-time highs once again. All in all, markets are showing a extreme will to reverse. A lot of confidence is being restored. A lot of names that we haven't heard from in a while have been rallying, and they're back in attractive buying territory. Therefore, we can expect investors to be more confident going into the weeks ahead and going into the months ahead as we continue powering through 2022. Either way, guys, that was nice and short and sweet. If you guys want to see more of these videos, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the likes up button. Thank you so much for joining, and have a great trading week.